everyone, and welcome back to yoga here with Miss Ingram here in the basement. As you can see today, I am seated on the ground, and as promised, we will be working on some poses down here instead of standing. Um, Hopefully, these positions will be a lot easier for you than it was with earlier in the past 2 weeks with the standing poses. But we're just gonna jump right in and work on our seated forward bending poses. So, of course, our first pose is your basic pike pose. You're just going to sit on your bottom, legs straight out, no bent knees. Your feet will try to have them either with your toes pointed forward or flexed up in the air, whichever you feel more comfortable with. And we're just going to continue with our deep breath in, 3-second hold, deep breath out, breathing, and yeah, we're just going to dive right in. So again, legs are straight out, feet together, legs together, feet together, and we're just going to arms up, and we're just going to bend our torso forward as far as you can go. If you can reach your toes, if you can point your toes and reach your toes, grab those. If you can not, you can grab your ankles. You can grab the bottom of your feet here. You can grab the middle, wherever you feel comfortable grabbing. Go ahead and reach for that position. If you can point your toes and reach, that's fine as well. If you have to flex them forward to reach, that's fine, because that's what I have to do. But you just want to try to get your torso as close to your legs as possible. And you're just gonna pull yourself down. And as we're bending over our legs, you're just gonna focus on taking your deep breath in. Hold 3 seconds and breathe out. And while you're in every pose, you want to try to take at least 10 breaths in and 10 breaths out. 10 in through your nose and 10 out through your mouth while holding it in the middle for 3 seconds. Although I'm talking through the exercise, you can still focus on your deep breathing and just make sure that your legs do not become bent at any point in time. You don't want to rock back and forth in your position. You want to try to hold it. That way you're getting a deep stretch in your leg area, in the back of your legs. And just remember, you want to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And last deep breath in. And slowly come up as you're breathing out. Arms up. And down. Now, our next pose that we're going to be doing is similar to what we've already done multiple times while standing. Is we're going to try the same forward bend. However, instead of reaching for our feet this time, we're going to do the prayer pose. If you remember, if you don't remember, my apologies. If you don't remember, that's when you start your hands downward position. And then you're just going to roll them up and hit that prayer position there. And while your arms are in the prayer position, you're going to bend your torso forward again as far as you can go. And again, you want to make sure you don't rock back and forth. And so you want to just get as low as you possibly can and hold that positioning there. Don't forget to breathe while you're doing this. Point your toes. Knees should be straight, flat, the back of your knees. You want to try to have them flat on the ground. You want to just remember to keep pulling your torso forward. Although your hands are behind your back, your torso still has to go forward. And just lean in there. Just keep on leaning. Pretty sure you're doing fine. As you can see, the seated poses are a lot easier to hold your balance with versus our standing poses that we did. But you're still able to get that deep tissue stretch in with our seated pose that you would get while in our standing poses. You're just going to slowly come up, releasing your arms. And the next pose we're going to do, same positioning. I'm just going to turn the other way just so I can have a different view, or you guys can have a different view as well. Our next pose that we are going to do is called the hands to ground pose. Same thing, toes are pointed, legs flat, back of your knees, you want to try to have them flat on the ground. And instead of reaching for your feet this time, you're going to take your hands and place them flat on the ground. Palms are flat on the ground. You're just going to bend your torso over and try to keep your arms bent in the bent position. You aren't really grabbing for anything, which is what kind of makes this pose a little bit difficult. So you might find yourself rocking back and forth. You want to try to present that as much as possible. If you can, try to get your elbows to the ground. And that should also help to stop you from rocking back and forth in this pose. And if you can't have your elbows reach the ground, that's fine. My elbows won't reach. However, I am pulling myself down to try to get them there. And while we're holding this pose, you just want to relax your muscles. Focus on those deep breaths in and deep breaths out. Don't forget to hold 3 seconds in the middle of your deep breathing. And last deep breath in. And slowly come up as you're blowing out your mouth. Like I stated before, a lot of these positions are rather easy. The most difficulty you may have while doing these seated forward bending poses is not rocking and bouncing back and forth while we're in them. So the next pose we're going to do is called the two hands revolved pose, which is same positioning as so. You're going to take both your hands. Your left hand is going to go on your heel. Your right arm is going to just simply stretch over as far as it can go. And you're just going to pull yourself towards your feet while keeping your legs in the pike position. Toes pointed forward or flexed upward. Knees flat on the mat or ground or comforter, whatever you're using at this moment. And you're just going to take your right arm, and reach over. Try to touch your feet. You may, if you don't do it, that is quite all right. You want to just try to get as low to your feet as you can. And just hold that there. Make sure your left foot is grabbing that heel. Your right arm is grabbing, your right hand is grabbing that top of your foot. Ooh. You should be getting a good stretch. And twist your torso to the front. I'm sorry, I forgot to say that. You want to try to twist your torso to the front while doing this stretch here. And we're gonna come up. And we're just gonna switch to the other side. I'm gonna turn around so that I don't have my back to you too much. I'm just gonna now take your right arm, right hand, and reach down to your left heel. And take your left hand, reach over to your left toe, and pull yourself forward and twist your torso to the left. So I'm just gonna hold this pose as well. And taking your deep breaths in through your nose, hold for 3 seconds, and deep breath out. During this time, you want to also remember to relax your mind. Relax your mind. Remember that, this is doing yoga is to help, is another form of helping you meditate and stretch at the same time. And you're going to come up. If you need an extra strain, if you felt a lot of strain on your back, what you can do is do a little twist to release that pressure there. And we're going to turn back to the front because our next pose is called the seated forward bend half bound lotus. It's a lot in that name. So it's the seated forward bend half bound lotus. In this position, we're going to keep our left foot extended out. Our right foot is going to be bent. However, our foot is not going to be on the inside of our leg like that. You want to try to bring it up onto your left leg. So you should be seated in this position in here. My foot is starting to slip off though. I don't have my yoga socks on. So you want to try to hold it in the crevice of your hip area. Then we're going to take our right arm, put it behind our back. Now our left arm is just going to go up in the air. Your right arm, however, is going to be behind your back, but your palm is going to be flat on the ground. That way you don't run the risk of falling over. You also want to have your left arm, my apologies, up in the air, so it also helps with your balance as well, because this pose is a little tricky as far as trying to stay seated up. And just gonna hold that pose as well. Remember, right arm behind you, palm flat on the ground, left arm up. And I'm just gonna try to pull your left arm as high as it can go. While taking those deep breaths in and out. You want to make sure that your right foot is, your right knee is not on the ground as well. Although it does help you stretch better. It does feel a little bit better if your leg is resting on the ground because it helps you stretch a little more. But you don't want it on the ground. You want to try to keep it off the ground. You want to also turn your torso a little, making sure you get that extra feeling and extra stretching. And don't forget, with your left arm, you're going to continue to reach for the sky as high up as you can go. And we're going to release. We're going to switch sides. So now our right leg is going to be straight. Straight. left foot is going to go up on our right leg. Our left arm is going to go behind us, palm flat on the ground. Now our right arm is now going to be in the air. We're going to turn our torso slightly to the left and just reach our right arm up as high as we can get it. Deep breath in. About 3 seconds in, out. Again, deep breath in. And out. Deep breath in. And out. Deep breath in. Out. And last one, deep breath in. And slowly release as you're coming out. As you're breathing out. So our next pose is one of my personal favorites. I've been doing it since I've been running track in high school. It's called the 3-limbed face to foot pose. And the way you do that is you're going to take your right leg, place your foot by your bottom, buttocks, bottom. The proper way to do this is to have your leg still next to you. You don't want to turn your knee out to the side because then you won't receive the proper stretching. However, I do know when you first start off with this pose, it's very easy for you to do it with your knee off to the side. However, we're going to try to refrain from that because you can also pull a muscle in your groin area. So if you can, pull that right knee back to facing forward, not to the side. Have your right foot by your buttocks, and you're just going to stretch down to your left leg, making sure that your left knee, the back of your knee is flat on the floor, toes pointed. You're just going to reach all the way down as far as you can go. Deep breath in and deep breath out. Through your nose and out through your mouth. And one more. And slowly come up as we're blowing out. And we're just going to go to the other side. Switch to the other side. I'm just going to do the same thing. Right leg bent. Foot by your buttocks. Right knee flat on the ground. Toes pointed. And we're just going to bend straight down. We're grabbing our right foot and taking our deep breaths in and our deep breaths out. Again, you want to try not to rock back and forth, not to sway back and forth or side to side as well. You can reach down to your ankle, you can reach down to your foot, however far you feel comfortable with going. And again, you want to make sure your left knee is just facing forward and not out to the side while you're doing this stretch. So if you find yourself doing it out to the side, try to bring it in, facing forward as much as possible as you're going through the pulls. breath in. And slowly come up as we're coming out of it. And that concludes our first session of our seated forward bend poses of yoga. I hope that you can join me again later this week for another session of seated yoga. See you next time. Bye.